Hello, beautiful people. I'm Mariquita Solis, vegan empowerment coach, and I'm excited as we welcome today Jacque Salomon. She is the founder of Seeds to Inspire. So, everybody that's watching us today or on the replay, please give StreamYard permission to use your name. That should be at the top. And also let us know where you're joining from. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. We've got a lot of wonderful guests, and I'm so excited that Jackie's here. She's got such a beautiful, calm presence. And please post your questions for us because this is definitely going to be an inspiring conversation. So welcome, Jacque. Where are you joining us from?
Oh, thank you so much for having me and welcome to all of you new people into my story and thank you for having me. So I currently live on the ancestral land of the Akimel, Ottoman, and Peepash people, which is more commonly known as Phoenix, Arizona.
That's beautiful. And tell us about Seeds to Inspire. I mean, you've done so much in your life, and I am inspired by you, and I really love your elegant energy, and I can see how people would be attracted to that. You know, that elegance and calmness, and your story of how you've transformed your life has really impacted so many people. So, give us a little bit of history about you and your foundation.
So thank you for letting me share my story. Um, it started originally in 2009. I am a mother of three amazing, beautiful souls. And my eldest was 11 years old and he passed away from a severe allergic reaction to a pharmaceutical. And my twin boys were 7 at the time. And it was such a devastating trauma, as you can imagine, to our family that I had to figure out how to heal and how to understand what was happening. And that first year was a fog. Now I look back, I'm working on my memoirs. I'm trying to remember that. And it's a fog. And I think it was that liminal space that I was in that kind of sent me on a trajectory of learning and exploring and understanding from a lens of love, because it was at that moment that I could choose despair and hate and revenge and let that be the legacy of my baby, or I could swim and bathe in the existence that he was for 11 years and honor his life and continue in love. And that's where it started for me. And so I started learning and exploring. And at this time, all of my children learn differently. So we relocated from, well, I grew up in on the ancestral land of the Lenape, which is more commonly known as Manhattan, New York. So I was born and raised in the projects, went to New York City public schools all the way up to high school, and grew up eating the foods that you can imagine that are, in food swamps. And it was in this time where I was healing that all of those manifestations started showing up. Because when I was struggling and suffering and challenged and stressed and mourning, all of that energy was actually combining with all of the food and the diseases that had started from childhood all started showing up in my body. And so we all got obese. We all started developing our chronic diseases, started showing up. And my ex-husband, myself, and my twins were all showing up, and they were children with diabetes, pre-diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, sleep apnea. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. And it was just an existence. We were existing. So at this time, my children were attending school. They learned differently. They were being challenged and discriminated against. So me as a mother walking in love, that also inspires a fierceness to protect those you love. And it was there where my activism started because they were going after my children. And I said, okay, no, this is not going to happen. So I learned and I educated myself and became like an advocate for them and fought the public school system for 4 years. And we triumphed every time. However, that took a toll on my body and it took a toll on my health and took a toll on my children's health. And in 2016, after the school system and I had reconciled, and my children were now attending a school for to celebrate their neurodiversity and their neurodistinctness, and they were thriving. it was time for me to start really looking at our health. And we were all so sick. The options were medication for my children to put them at 14 and 15 on statins. One of my twins had a hole in his heart. It was just, these options were surgery, procedures, testing, pills. That's all. Our whole life was just this existence. And I was just tired. I was tired. And in the interim, I almost lost my life on two different occasions because of the stress on my body and my health. And that wasn't even enough for me to change. It wasn't until the diseases went after my children that, again, that mother energy and that love energy was like, not the ones that I love. You can do it to me, but don't go after my kids. And I started researching. And that's when I discovered Forks Over Knives, and my world changed. It was following that path that I went, and we transitioned almost overnight, I have to say. And we went from, frozen burgers, and every weekend our outings were movies and restaurants. That's what our lives were. To full on advocacy, whole food, plant based, no oil, SOS, just overnight, and saying, oh no, we're going to do this. And we did. And we experienced remarkable, not only arresting, but reversal of our lifestyle diseases, our chronic diseases. And I educated myself, and I went to school, and I had to understand what was happening within my body, what this healing was. And it was also in the interim, in this time period, where we had another trauma and a fracture in the family, where my mother had decided, through some differences, that it'd be best that she not recognize me as a daughter anymore. And it was a split in that family during this time that it was like, okay, something has to be going on, because I'm not a victim, and I'm all love, and something bigger is here. So I really started going deep into the trauma and understanding the trauma. And that's where it all came together, and Seeds to Inspire was born, because I started understanding what the challenges I was going through with the school system, the challenges I was going through with my body, the challenges I was going with the trauma in my home and my family, on the streets. Everything was connected. And that's where I said, okay, we need to do something. And we started Seeds to Inspire to address all of the barriers in communities that reflect me and my upbringing and experiences, to help them see that we really do have the power of our own health, and health autonomy is our right. It is absolutely our natural way of being. And if we stop the interference of our health and our homeostasis, then health and vitality is ours to have. And I needed to go and share that as large, wide, and loud as I could.
That's exciting. And how did your kids feel about this?
Oh my God. Okay, so they were 15, and there was pushback, but they understood, because we were at the point where if we went away for a weekend, we had gallon bag size of Ziploc bags full of prescriptions to take along with us. Every week was those pill bottles. Every Sunday was a 1 week pill bottle for every single person. My ex-husband had two, one for the morning, one for the night. And every Sunday night, there I was dispensing and getting it organized. Every morning before everyone left, there was open pill bottle. It was, now I look back, and it was just insanity. And I think when I did it, I sat down with my family, and I helped them understand that this was not an option, but I was doing it because I learned something that I could not ignore, and that I knew now that the choices I was making, that I thought I was loving my children, I thought I was loving my ex-husband, I thought I was just putting everything in, that I was literally poisoning us all slowly. I was contributing to the diseases that were manifesting in my babies. And I felt so betrayed. Like someone had hijacked my motherhood, the thing that I held so dear in my life, and was hijacking that. I just got angry. Once I got angry, it's like, oh no, you're not doing this. You're not doing this to my kids. You're not doing this to my family. So I helped them understand that when I was showing up, it was in space of love, and that this was going to be together. We were going to do this together, and it was going to be rough. But it was, watch, they were going to see, and they were going to understand. And so we made it into a game. It was like, okay, I'm going to make a dish. And you tell me, I know it's not going to be great. You tell me what you like, what you don't like, and I'll keep. And I did. I would make lasagna, mac and cheese 7, 8 times, and they were part of it. Mom, I don't like this. No, I don't like this. It's missing this, and I'd go research. So we made it like a family thing where they were helping me learn basically to cook. I didn't realize I really didn't know how to cook. I knew how to warm things up. I knew how to prepare things. I didn't know how to cook. So I had to learn all that. And what mitigate that anxiety was my children being really honest and knowing that this entire transition was for them for love.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, and that's scary with the pill bottles. Did the doctors, did they ever say anything to you about changing your diet or any other, let's talk about health and nutrition? I mean, let's really talk about it. Or was that not what, I mean, tell me what they said.
Unfortunately, no. And I can tell you what they did say after we transitioned to whole food, plant-based, no oil, and saw reversal of diseases. My ex-husband, and I have permission to share this from him, he was experiencing cognitive dysfunction. And we were only about 45 at the time, 44, 43 at the time. And he was experiencing cognitive dysfunction. And we were trying to go to the doctor to kind of figure out what was going on. But at the same time, my one of my twins was also going through that and seeing a neurologist. And so when the neurologist sent him to get imaging done for his brain, the radiologist called her and said, "Are you sure you sent me a 14-year-old male? Because I'm sure I'm looking at the brain of a male in his early 40s with early onset Alzheimer's." And that was my 14-year-old baby. This is what we were facing. And this is my baby that is diagnosed with autism, is diagnosed with three different learning differences, and experienced the worst discrimination from the school. So it was just, I felt like everything around me was trying to push me into despair. And I refused. I kept saying, no, there's something here. So when I started seeing the same symptoms with my husband at the time, we went to the neurologist, had imaging done, and he was exactly the same diagnosis as my son. We didn't know what was going on. But then we discovered plant-based nutrition. We discovered whole food plant-based nutrition. And within a year, when my ex-husband went back for his imaging, he had seen literally 75% reversal. So that means that 75% of the brain activity that he had lost had returned. 75% of the brain activity that he lost had returned. The neurologist was like, this is a miracle. We never get to give this kind of news. Like, this is a miracle. Now, he was referred to that neurologist from another neurologist as a specialist. When we went back to the original neurologist with that news, her response was, here's a prescription for the remaining 25%. We hear it's got great results. That was the last time we went to see her. With my son, he was diagnosed with a hole in his heart. Again, he was being monitored every year by the pediatric cardiologist to make sure that his body was growing, but the hole was remaining the same. They were just monitoring him. 1 year to the next, it was gone, undetectable.
Oh my gosh, that is
The hole in his
amazing.
heart, undetectable. Cardiologist, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We're like, yeah, we went whole food plant-based, no oil. So excited, it healed. He said, you know what? Just this week alone, I operated on 7 children to heal that. Keep up the good work and set us on our way. And that was it. No questions, no further. No, it was just, okay, great job. And sent us on our way. The option was literally cutting my baby's chest open, cutting his rib cage, removing it, sewing his heart, putting all that together. And he's fine. And all we received was a great work. So,
Gosh.
yeah, the resistance is there. It's real. And I think that's why I started working specifically with lifestyle medicine and the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, the Center for Nutrition Studies. It's because the evidence must speak for itself. We have so much resistance. And if I'm not evidence, having lost having reversed my obesity and have lost 164 pounds, having reversed my type 2 diabetes, not just arrested, but it's gone. I had hypertension with an arrhythmia. It's not arrested, it's gone. I had chronic gastric reflux, restless leg syndrome. It's all reversed through meditation, through my yoga, through whole food plant based nutrition, through committing myself to be in a loving space, to respect myself, and not let anybody in my circle that does not honor me and respect me, right? So, community is important. Honest, loving, respectful relationships. I make sure I get enough sleep every night. So it's all of those factors that I started inviting into my life that liberated me. And if we're having resistance from physicians, we have to be the evidence and we have to be the testimony to share this to the community. Because so many think that physicians or believe that physicians know everything, and they're human. They go to school, they receive an education, and most are really kind-hearted individuals that want to help. They just don't know, they're not taught this. So we that are this lived testimony, that have the evidence and have the data, are responsible to go out and share this with our communities.
Oh my gosh, that is such a powerful story. And someone is saying, powerful story she has to share.
Oh,
Amazing
thank you so
story.
much.
Yeah, and Stephanie, thank you for watching. Stephanie, I know she's was doing her raw food, plant-based vegan diet. I mean, she's really very conscious about that. So, yeah, it's
Thank you. Thank
amazing.
you.
It really does change your life. And so, I don't even know what I was going to ask you because I'm just like amazed by all this. It's beautiful. But I mean, the way that we can turn the things around and that it's so that there's not more celebration or not more knowledge, but it's true that that the medical profession, I mean, that's not something that they're learning in their medical studies. It's just not, and it's very sad. I mean, it's a fact. And so how can we do better for them? I mean, I remember seeing Bruce Lipton, and he talks about epigenetics, above the genes. Like, we're not slaves to our to our genes, right, to our gene pool. I mean, through diet and exercise and meditation and all this, the supplement, holistic healing, we can get out of, like, these people think, well, my dad had cancer, now let me just get ready to have cancer. So it doesn't have to be like that. But Bruce said that night that I saw him, I remember him saying, um, we go to the doctor and we expect the doctor to know more about ourselves than we do. And I thought, my gosh, he's so right. We go to the doctor and then we say, what's wrong with us? But we don't really know because we haven't listened to our body and we haven't been nourishing it the way it needs to be. And I remember another friend of mine years ago, he said one thing that just stuck with me. And he said, we go and eat whatever we want, and then we expect the doctors to heal us and make it better. After years and years of just junk food eating or not taking care of ourselves, then we expect miracles. And those two things really stuck out for me. So it's wonderful to hear. I mean, because I've never heard about people with cognitive issues, that being reversed. And I know I have friends that say, oh my gosh, my memory's going, or I just don't know, I feel this or that. And this is powerful, very, very powerful. And depression, I mean, depression being healed with this, because if we're eating all that heavy foods and we're bogged down, it affects. So, how do you feel about, the mental health? I mean, what would you speak to that, Jackie?
I became a transformational coach for the reason specifically to help people understand that we are quantum beings and we don't know who we are. We don't know what we are. And I've learned through Buddhism that what if we adopted the lens? What if we walked around saying who we truly are is consciousness, and what we do is the human part of us? What if we remembered that who we really are is the consciousness, is light, is information, is love, and how we manifest is in the human? What if we start looking at the ancient wisdom traditions that teach us that this body is a temple of the divine, that we are the house, that we are the structure with which consciousness and soul and life comes through to live on the planet? To me, mental health now is as underdeveloped as Western medicine. I think it asks the question too much, what's wrong with you, and not enough of what happened to you. And that's where the trauma informed component comes in, and why I dedicate myself to the trauma informed lifestyle medicine, because we have to understand that we are nature, we are nature, we are nature. We are the land, we are the water, we are the air, we are. And that what we do to her, Grandmother Earth, what we do to our non human brothers and sisters on the planet affects us all. We are one. We're all cells on this amazing being called planet Earth, and we all have a function. And when we are separated, when we forget what our role is and our function in the whole, to me, that is what gives birth to fractures in mental health. I think our separation from spirit, I think our inability to trust, I think psycho-spiritual wounds that are then masquerade as support and help, I think really take us off of our center. And to me, mental health is wanted to be where our thoughts and our actions and our words are all aligned. And if we cannot show up 100% of who I am, and I have to hide in some way, I have to take all the beautiful parts of me and hide them in the shadow so nobody takes them and victimizes them, and all the things that happen to me that I can't talk about, I have to hide them and put them in the shadow. And I'm supposed to walk around like everything is okay and I'm fine. And if I can't function in this world led by psychopaths wreaking havoc on all life, something's wrong with me. I'm not adapting to this norm. This norm, something's wrong with me. To me, that is where the mental health, when that's that emotional um, neglect. And this is why I am such a proponent of lifestyle medicine, because it takes into consideration that how we believe, how we think is all connected to our health. So when I introduce plant based nutrition, I have to be really, really honest. I don't know if I would be as healthy after the fracture in my family with my siblings and my mom if I didn't have whole food plant based nutrition in my life. When we're all energetic beings and when we consume whatever food, there's an energetic vibration. And epigenetically, our cells are swimming, right, in a petri dish, like Bruce Lipton says, a petri dish of our experiences and our consumptions. And if our non human brothers and sisters that love us know what's happening to them, understand, have not forgotten that they are part of the whole, have not forgotten that they are part of the system, have not forgotten, see us, their brothers and sisters, tormenting them unconsciously as they wait to then be turned into something for consumption. There's a fear, there's a stress, there's a sorrow, there's a panic that all runs through the muscles. And we know this. We know how this works. We know what cortisol is. We know what all these hormones are. They're messengers. Hormones are messengers in the body. So then we take those hormones, those messengers that were right there, take the life of this being right in that moment, and then we package it, we take away its identity, we strip it of all its origins so it doesn't look anything like it, and then we're gaslit into thinking or pretending that it's something else. And then we consume that, and our cells are now swimming in that petri dish. These are the things that they don't talk about. These are the things they don't want us to see. Paul McCartney was right. If slaughterhouses were made of glass walls, everybody would be vegan. There's a reason why there's ag laws, right? There's a reason why it's illegal to film what goes on and share it, because it would affect profit. Why would us seeing facts and the reality affect profit? We have to think about the messages that we're getting because unconsciously we understand. And when we know the truth in our bodies and we are convincing ourselves of something else that we're doing, that factor and that cognitive dissonance causes the disruption in our mental faculties. It causes us to not be aligned. And realities clashing in our bodies causes diseases. So all of that to me is very, very connected. And when I started cleaning that stress and I stopped inviting that sorrow and that stress and that fear into my body, then I could deal with the trauma that was already inside because I wasn't inviting more trauma into my life. And when I was free of that and I had light and energy and my cells were swimming in that, all of a sudden I could sit with the trauma. I could sit with the pain that was already there. I could hold that space and I was strong and my resilience came back because as an indigenous woman, I'm here today because of the resilience I've inherited from generations and generations and generations. And I had an opportunity for that resilience to show up and face with love and compassion the trauma that had happened in my life. And I was able to heal and love and release and understand all the people in my life that are going through their own cycles and their own karma. So to me, that was the benefit of going not only vegan, but going whole food plant based was really, it gave me the resilience and the space and the love to be present with whatever was inside.
That's beautiful. And I mean, I'm so touched. I feel like I'm going to cry during this conversation. It's beautiful. And I believe so much the same because as a coach, I know that we've got to honor ourselves. And when we're not living in alignment, that's causing, you're right, the disease because it's a fight inside from what we believe in our heart. What our heart is so wise when we really listen to her and then we're connected to everything here, the universe and all the living beings. And so I see how, as vegans, when we're feeling like we have to hide ourselves or we don't want to speak up, and I don't mean speak up like tell people they're doing the wrong thing or you're wrong. I mean, where we live and use our voices in a gentle way to explain to people and live in the alignment of my truth. I mean, my truth simply can be is I'm a vegan and and that's the way I eat and that's my choice, for living. And I don't have to go into explanations where I'm judging someone or belittling them. I can stand tall with that belief and not be ashamed and not have to hide it, which does cause a disease. So, I mean, this is so powerful what you're saying, because we getting back to our heart and really listening to what does my heart want me to do, and knowing that it's not a black and white choice all the time. Like I have some I have people asking me, what should I do here? I feel bad about eating with them and I don't know what to do if I should eat with these people or not. And it's not all black and white. The answers lie in here, right? But to test and to be gentle and to see if it doesn't feel right, then just be vulnerable with the people, you know, just you don't have to say, well, I can't stand the sight of you eating meat. I mean, speak from your heart. Like, I mean, for me, it's very hard to be a part of that. And so I love you. First of all, you're my friends and I want to be with you. But I mean, if you're speaking from vulnerability and love, it's not going to cause anyone to be angry. If they're really your friends, they're going to understand and they're going to want to support you. So it's about handling situations with gracefulness and honoring yourself and your friends by living in alignment and speaking your truth in a way that's respectful to everyone and allowing them to speak their truth in a way that's respecting everyone and allowing and listening. So that's my soapbox. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, what you're saying is making me very passionate, of course, because this is what I want people to do. I want them to be able to live in alignment where they're not reactive to other people. Like I'm going to go eat with someone and because of how they how they eat or what they do I'm dependent on that for my happiness. My happiness is not dependent on them. I'm going to live in alignment with my life and I'm going to do what I know is right in my heart. And I'm going to say that just what you said. I mean, I don't remember the exact word, but the brainwashing that's going on here, by them knowing that these are people that are brainwashed, and we've been brainwashed too. So knowing that they're just on a different stage of life, right? And saying a prayer, or saying, if you don't like praying, just saying something, like, I see you and I see where you are on your journey, and I respect that, and I, send you love that you will become awakened, or something like that, right? Instead of cursing them, sending love for awakening. So yeah, but
Absolutely.
how do you
Yeah.
handle
And
that?
I, okay, so let's be frank and honest.
Okay.
Transitioning to plant-based, people are going to show you who they are. Activations are going to be present. That's unavoidable. Um,
So when you're saying, excuse me, when you're saying that you're telling them, that you've gone plant based, is that what you mean?
or just being plant-based.
Okay.
So just being a plant-based person, and when people find out you're plant-based,
Okay.
all of a sudden their activations come out, right? So
Right.
you don't
Yes.
even have to be talking about it. You could just say, oh no, I'm vegan, and all of a sudden everybody's going to tell you why they can't go vegan and why they tried and they just shouldn't do it, right? Because it just invites all of this, and then you're like, oh, okay. You're being defensive. And because when we choose to this lifestyle, because I feel there's been so much judgment, every time somebody hears my choice, they hear a judgment on their lifestyle.
And why
And so
why is that? Why do they feel like they have to immediately defend themselves? What's going on with them that, I
yeah,
say I'm vegan, and they say, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I've tried to do it. Or, you know what I mean? They start to get nervous, and like they feel like I need an explanation. So what's causing that, would you say?
I think there's two things going on. I think the first thing that's going on is that the history of veganism has been animal rights, and animal rights activists have a message of what you're doing is wrong, and what you're doing is cruel and evil. And I'm not saying that's a wrong message, because I don't disagree. However, that does not work for every person. Not every person feels activated to look at their choices when they hear that message. Um, I would even I would even venture to say that people that have had more trauma in their lives are going to be even more defensive. So we have to understand where people are. And when we say what you're doing is wrong and evil and this, you're telling someone you're bad, shame on you, pointing fingers and shaking. And I don't know about you, but that does not motivate me to do anything. I've been pointed at, and my entire life I've been told that everything about me is wrong, up to the texture of my hair, my skin color, my gender, where I was born, my education level, all of that. I've been told I've been wrong and had to conform. So now you're going to take the one thing that's near and dear to me, the one thing that brings me comfort, the one thing that I don't have to think about, the one thing that is just consistent in my life is what I love to eat. And now you're going to shame me for that too. That's very, very difficult. Also, food is very close to culture, tradition, family. So you're challenging everyone's belief systems, everything that they've been taught in their home, every tradition that's been handed down to them. You're challenging all of it, and then you're telling them every time you enjoy that meal with your family, you're doing something evil. Every time you get together and you have that, that's wrong and it's evil. It's too much. It's re-traumatizing, in my opinion, for a lot of people. I think the second thing is that, especially when you're on highly addictive foods, like the hormones in the animal products, the the horrible chemicals that are in the processed food, our bodies are highly addicted
Oh my
to
God.
these foods.
Say that again.
So
I want everybody to
our,
hear that.
our bodies and our brains are literally addicted to these foods. So it is not all on you that I tried and I can't do it. It's not all on you. These are designed by brilliant, wealthy people to make sure that these foods stay in your cupboard and stay in your neighborhood. This is why I do lifestyle medicine, to help our communities understand that there's something made deeper, way deeper going on here, and that we need to help each other because these are addictions. And let's not even mention the fact that once you get addicted to the lifestyle of fast food or convenience foods, now it's you. I have to cook. I have to shop. Where do I find time for that? Wait, I have to plan my meals. Like, when am I supposed to find time for that? I don't know how to do that. I don't cook. The lifestyle could completely takes your normal and throws it into something completely else. And then it's like, you know what? It's just too much for me. That's a that's a lot to ask someone to do. To me, I find it disrespectful to ask someone to do that without offering some support, some understanding, some resources, and some tools like I would have liked to have had. I did it by myself learning. I didn't have community at the point. But soon after, I started going to Veg Fest. I started meeting people. And it's like, okay, I started understanding how they passed the message. I watched and I learned. I saw how people reacted. I saw how it felt. And my empathy would really come in because I would see the resistance and I would always feel bad for them. I'm like, oh, they're feeling shamed. They're feeling guilty. They're feeling, what if we, and that's how it kind of started. And then I took Dr. Will Tuttle's course and became one of his World Peace Diet facilitators. And his book, The World Peace Diet, and his approach with really sharing with people your lived experience. This is my why. This is why I do this. And like what you were saying, be with your open heart. And people are going to fall away from you. It's going to happen. People are going to fall away from you. They're not going to be able to manage it. It's too activating for them. And that's okay. It's okay to release people. We don't understand, or we'll never know the karma that people bring into their life and what journey they have to take. But I trust that this lifestyle is so powerful because it is so healthy and it's so natural and it's so healing, that planting the seeds with love and respect and saying, you know what, if you ever have any questions, I'm here for you, brother. Every time I'm with you, I'm going to bring you a dessert. I'm going to bring you a plant-based sandwich. I'll take you out. I'll treat you. I'll love on you despite your resistance. Let me tell you, when we first transitioned, my brother would say things like, I'm going to go to In-N-Out Burger. I'm going to get a gold double cheeseburger. And I was like, oh, okay, enjoy. Because they want the activation so that they have somewhere to channel the activation. Don't play the game. Don't play the game. Release them. Lean to the side. Let that dagger go that way and understand where it's coming from. It's coming up from holding on, and it's a lot of pain. So we just get out of the way and just say, I love you. I love you. This is why I'm doing it. I love you. I'll cook you something every time I show up, but I can't go to that restaurant. I'm sorry. It's just against my belief system. But if you want to come over, I'll make a meal. If you want to go to a picnic, I'll bring stuff. I just can't participate in that. And I'm sorry, I can't welcome any animal products into my home. It's against my heart, and that vibration I just can't have in my home. But I appreciate the offer. Thank you so much for offering. And that's the way I speak. And for those that create resistance, boundaries, 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 boundaries.
That's
Understand that we don't have to engage in unhealthy discourse, right? If someone's resisting us, that's one thing. But if they're making us feel bad for our choices, it's okay to put a loving boundary and say, you know what, this is not a conversation I think we're ready to have right now. And I think when we're feeling that we can have this conversation, when we're both listening and we're both open to receive, we can revisit it. But I just don't think right now is a good time, and honor yourself.
that's beautiful because different people can do different things. Like I can eat with friends that are eating, meat, but other people can't. And so listening to what we can do is crucial, and not forcing, you know. Really that's again going back to our hearts and tuning into to more listening and not so much talking. Listening to us, sitting in the quiet and the meditation like you're talking about. And honoring our needs first. And but I love the way that you're relating to your friends with gracefulness, and it was the way you told it was very, it wasn't judgmental, it was from the heart. This is what I can do, and I can't do that, and it wasn't putting anybody down. I mean, the energy was beautiful, and it was vulnerable. And it's crucial that we're vulnerable and speak from the heart, because that's not going to turn anyone off. I mean, sure, they might feel defensive, but you've done your best. When you speak from the heart and you're being vulnerable, you don't have to feel bad. You're living in alignment with your life, and you're speaking from the deepest place of your soul. And the universe is supporting you to honor
Yes.
yourself, right? And you know that you've done that. And you know that you can walk high with your head held up, because you're living in alignment for the animals and for this planet and for your own health. So, I mean, your gracefulness is just beautiful and genuine, and I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I think so much of it was discovering my indigeneity, was discovering who I am. And I think that's really what helped me heal the most, was to be present with everyone else's who they are,
Oh, I love
and
that.
honor and respect that, because I learned who I was. And I'm on this journey. I'll discover for the rest of my life, until I take my last breath, another miracle of who I am and why I'm here and where I come from. And that journey, like one of my teachers says, we're all question marks in search of our answers. So if we walk through this earth and through this life, understanding that we are always discovering who we are, wouldn't that be amazing? If we could, if we could model that for everyone and say, listen, I didn't know this 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I was eating flesh too. I was eating meat too. I was eating poison too. I was eating toxins too. That's why I almost died. That's why my kids were so sick. I didn't know. But now that I know, look what's happened. And I will just want this for everyone. So if you're ever interested, please let me know. I would love to support you in this. But I do put boundaries where I can't watch someone poison themselves. And
Mm.
that's where I see, I'm watching you literally come. It's a slow suicide. That heart attack, that stroke, that it's imminent. And I don't know when it's going to take you, but it's inevitable with that pattern. And it's very difficult for me to watch someone poison themselves. So I always look at it from the medical lens and from a quantum lens, and understand with every bite what's happening in your body. And it saddens me. And again, because I know it's unconscious, I know you don't know. I know the doctors don't know. I mean, doctors get, they're not even mandated to take 20 hours, and not even all medical schools are mandated to take nutrition. Some are maximum 15 hours, and some don't even monitor if they even took them. These are the physicians know nothing about nutrition. So how do we? So it's really, really important that we understand that the way we eat affects our minds, affects our choices. If we're addicted to these foods, we're not going to make conscious choices. We're not going to make choices that are greater for the whole, because all we're looking at is to soothe ourselves. And if we start healing our hearts, if we start healing our pain, maybe we could look at that addicting food and we could have the resilience to say, you know what, do I really want to eat that? Do I really need to eat that? You know, I'm thinking about what my sister said last week, and I don't know, what if I tried it one day? You know, we want that opportunity for everyone to see us as role models and be inspired by us. We don't want them to, like, every time they see a piece of broccoli, they think about me and my anger and my judgment. You know, I want them to look and I go, you know what? She really made a freaking good dish last time. She said it was all chickpeas. You know, I'm going to see if I can do that. I'm going to see if I can mimic that, because I ate it and I felt really good after. You know, I wasn't bloated. I usually, when I eat that much, I get sick, and I really wasn't. And guess what? I wasn't struggling when I was trying to eliminate after. I want to look at this a little bit more. So I always bring it to like that health and trust, that healing is going to bring the compassion. It's going to bring all that. So I would just trust your heart, because remember, anger is a communication, right? It's a communication. But we can take the message of the anger, and then we can transmute it into action. We don't have to allow anger to take the front seat. We don't have to allow anger to become the driver. We can allow anger to be the navigator and show us the map of where we have to go, and say that, and then we could take that information, we can go into back into in our hearts into meditation. How do I respond? Anger is telling me that there's an injustice somewhere. Anger is telling me that there's a misalignment somewhere. My ancestors are telling me I'm to respond. Spirit is telling me to respond. My consciousness is telling me to respond. How do I take everything I know and what I feel and what I experience and channel that into a conscious response and not a reaction? That takes work. It takes healing. It takes support. But when we do that, we affect that change, not from like Bruce Lipton and all those amazing scientists tell us, but we're not just a particle. We're not just matter. We can elevate and evolve, and we are the wave. We can affect through energy our brothers and sisters. We can affect their hearts through our vibration. And if we're coming tense and low vibration, we're going to be met with tense, low vibration. But we come from an elevated space of love and say, this is truth. I'm going to deliver the truth as lovingly as I can. I'm not going to argue. We're not going to fight. This is as lovingly as I can. Oh, there's an argument starting. There's a resistance. Oh, you know what? This is not for me. I'm going to take my education and my knowledge somewhere else where it's received. But always, in fact, our job, our duty is to walk this earth in fact and truth. There's too much gaslighting. There's too much manipulation. There's too many lies. And we have to follow our hearts. And if you follow your heart, truly your heart, not what just feels good in your body, but what your thoughts and your actions and your words are aligned, you can't go wrong.
You're right. We can't go wrong. Exactly. In alignment, that is so crucial. And it does take work. And people tell me, well, it's not easy. Well, I mean, and they'll say, well, they're like attacking me, but that's not, nobody's saying it's easy. It's a journey, and the journey can be done with gentleness, right? It's a gentle journey of life and awareness um, and really helping people to see a different, newness, see some other way. Because I feel so sad for the people living in poverty, where it's easier to grab a McDonald's and cheaper than to go make a beautiful dish of vegetables, of fresh cut organic vegetables. I don't know where we've come in our society where now things are labeled as organic and pesticides everywhere, and that we have to pay more for just our birthright is clean, fresh food. Where did we step away from our birthright? And that people are manipulated into buying these fast foods because they don't have another choice. It's horrible. And even the food pantries that are giving out the junk, right? They're not giving out the fresh food. And so many people have been needing it during these times. And that's just so sad to me. And that's, again, they're getting addicted, just like the babies with I just remember hearing about babies in impoverished countries, and they were when they were born, their mothers were put on formula, put them on formula, and then they can't keep up with the expense of it. And it's just horrendous the way that big money is deceitful in all the ways it's hurting us from our natural state. And so it's amazing, and so thankful for you that you're out there educating people and being a leader, right? Being that visionary for other people, and inspiring. So it's beautiful. And I love what we were talking about before, and I have it written down here, like people were gauging your age on how unhealthy that you are, right? And the people are so worried about that. And it's not about that. Can you speak a little bit about that, Jackie?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going
So
all
I
over.
have a sister. Yeah. Oh no, it's beautiful. So I was having a conversation with a sister friend colleague of mine, and she is a professor at ASU, and I just find her to be just so beautiful. And she just has a few years my senior, and she was bringing up this topic of like this ageism for women, and how it's so centered. And I was like, yeah, you know what we have to do? We have to stop conflating youth and health. And that's what's going on, especially with women, because of the health of passing on our genes and youth and health. You know what? People are surprised that I'm the age that I am, and they say, "Oh, you look so young," and it's not. I don't think I look young. I think I look healthy, right? I don't feel like I just turned 50 this year. And I don't feel like, oh, I look young, I don't look my age. No, I'm like, no, I think I look 50. I just think I look healthy 50. And I know my sisters, if they're healthy, they'll just look just like this, if not even more healthier. So we have to stop thinking that health belongs to the youth. You know, a lot of the consequences that we see of our food choices and our lifestyle creates that premature aging. And so that's, I think, what we're resistance to and we're fighting. And this thing with humans that just want to hold on to life and youth. And you know what? That's aging. The stress of not wanting to die, the stress of not wanting to look old, the stress of wanting to please some outside ideal of what beauty and health looks like is what's aging. If you love yourself, you treat yourself right, you put yourself understanding that I, through overflow, feed my family, through overflow, serve my community. I have so much self-love and so much health that I have so much I just want to give to everybody. You want some? You have some, so much love. I have so much health. Here's some for you, some for you. That's like telling the apple tree to worry about getting old and worrying about the cycles of the sun and the moon. The apple tree is beautiful, and through its love and abundance and health, it produces so much food to reproduce, more apple trees for the animals and for the humans. That's us, that's nature. So if we treat our bodies and we have ourselves swimming in vitality and light and health and love, of course our health through epigenetics are going to heal, are going to be vitality. We're going to shine light. And I like to remind my clients also that, you know, if we are matter, we're stones. You know, we cast a shadow, right? Light hits us and we cast a shadow. And, you know, through Jungian psychology, we understand what the shadow is. But as we evolve through health, as we evolve through consciousness, as we evolve into Christ consciousness, we become less and less opaque and more clear to eventually light streams through us and we have no shadow, right? We become that Christ consciousness, that crystalline consciousness where just light just flows through us. That's our mission. That's the path. And do you think that looks old and beat down? No, that's as it's crystal clear as the lake. It's as bright as the sun, is as vibrant as the trees, you know, in the spring. That's us. So we look at ourselves as just cyclical and take care of ourselves and understand these cycles. Listen, menopause is not the end. It is the third stage of evolution of a woman. Men go through 2 cycles. We go through 3. Women, the 3 sacred geometry, women go through 3 cycles. We evolve into an even more beautiful and vibrant and wise butterfly. We thought we were a butterfly when we got our period. What? We now are evolving all of that wisdom and knowledge. We have surpassed that and we have transcended that. And now we embody that to nurture our next generation. We need health. We have to look at our children so they can see their future. We have to become the ancestors. We have to become the elders, and that takes health and vitality. And I think when we live it from the inside, it shows on the vessel on the outside. So, yeah, when people say, you look young, I'm like, no, I think I just look really, really healthy. Really healthy.
Well, that's beautiful that you're an ambassador for health, and it's so important because we're so brainwashed into thinking, well, and now we're hitting 50, it's time to start taking medicine, and just like, okay, let me go to the doctor and get all the statins and all these drugs that people are taking that don't even work. I mean, the side effects are so monstrous, right? But that's part of life, that's what they say, and this is the attitude. So to have a representative that we don't have to be like this, and you're out there showing the world and inspiring, there's a new way to live, right? And our bodies are so resilient, they want to help us. Our bodies want to bounce back. They're willing to, once we start feeding them the right thing. And that means, through our mouth, through the environment, like where are we living in? Are we living with someone that's smoking, and all this, carcinogens everywhere? Also, what are our thoughts? Our thoughts supporting, and how are we supporting our life every day in all these ways, in alignment, like we were talking before, in alignment with this courageous heart, and grounding yourself and knowing what you are here for. And I know what you are here for, and you're doing it. And so it's beautiful. And I want, I know we're running now, we're getting a little close on running out of time, but I want to I want you to make sure to tell everyone where they can find you, and also tell them whatever else you want to make sure that everybody hears, because you are so inspirational. And I mean, I could talk to you all day. I'm
Oh,
getting
thank
very
you.
charged, right? It's so true, right? Your energy is hitting me. So whatever that energy is, always be aware when we're talking to people, because you're opening me up to talk, because you're coming from a vulnerable place. And that's the effect we have on other people. Your vulnerability is making me feel safe and that I could share. So, I mean, it's beautiful, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, yes, please tell everyone if there's whatever
Oh,
else you have to say, and tell people where they can reach you. Definitely.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And likewise, sister, you can tell when you're with like-hearted individuals that you can open up and you're safe. And I think that's the most important part when we're talking about trauma, is that our bodies is where trauma lives. It's not in our brains, it's not in our minds. It really isn't. It's in the physical, it's in the body. And it's a brilliant mechanism that we learn in childhood, is how to take all of the things that we don't understand and that hurt, and we store them away so that we can function and we can continue living. And I think it's really important that we listen to our bodies, because our bodies are going to tell us safe, unsafe. That's all the body knows, safe, unsafe. So start trusting that intuition and understand that emotions are water, and we are water beings. We are little droplets of the ocean that are walking around on land, experiencing this beautiful land. We have to remember that. And another one of my teachers in my head, the scientist, he says that water carries the love, is the love molecule, H2O, two hydrogen and one oxygen, and it's love and two gratitudes. So whenever you share love, one receives the love and takes that and then transmutes it into gratitude and gives back to the person that gave them the love, but also has an extra love to now give someone else. That's who we are as water. Oxygen, hydrogen, we're love with two gratitudes. And if we pass that love on to someone, in reciprocity, we will receive gratitude, and that person will get that love and pass it on. So we have to remember and take that cycle, because that's epigenetically who we are. That's our responsibility, is to be that clear, factual love on this planet. And you can find my organization where we do our health equity through lifestyle medicine, and we address health equity in our beautiful at-risk communities at seeds2inspire.org. I also do private practice on transformational coaching, lifestyle medicine, and trauma informed. I really do specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery and arresting and chronic diseases. And that's called Angel and Stone. But you can reach me at seeds2inspire.org, and we can talk further on that. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, I am very inspired by this conversation. I mean, you brought so much hope for any kind of ailment, right? I mean, taking back your life. You are you are the example, and you took action. I mean, that's the difference, right? When we feel sad, we have a choice. We can stay down, or we can get up and take action and make a difference in our lives and the lives of others, and for this beautiful planet. So I am just tremendously grateful for you, and
Oh,
for everyone that's
thank
been
you so
watching.
much for having me.
Yes, and again, well, if anybody's watching on the replay, I'm Marikita Solis, vegan empowerment coach, and Jacque Salomon is with Seeds to Inspire. So if you have questions, please leave them. We'll be checking back, but please reach out to her, because she is a wealth of divinity and inspiration and knowledge. So please reach out to her, because it will benefit you greatly. And I'm so glad that I met you. And thank you so much for this. And thank you, everyone, for
thank,
watching. So
thank you, everyone. Hope to hear from you soon. Take care.
bye bye, everybody.